Hey guys, I just wanted to create a video to send out to inform you of the changes that are going to affect home buyers and sellers starting in August of this year based on the National Association of Realtors lawsuit that they just came to a settlement earlier this year. And it was basically a class action where sellers were saying they didn't know that they didn't have to pay a buyer's agent and fees were fixed and all that. And none of that is really true, but I'm here to explain it to you because my goal is to be your resource with the truth, all right? Now, the changes are as follows. Buyer's agent compensation is being completely removed from the MLS and every other website that syndicates with the MLS. Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, all of them. Before, the compensation was listed in the Realtor remarks, and the Realtor can see how much the seller is paying on that particular house. So all of that is now being removed. Secondly, all home buyers must enter into a written signed buyer-broker agreement with their agent prior to them opening any doors or showing any homes. All right? If you're wondering what that is, it's basically like a listing agreement before you list, except it's for buying. It lays out the agent's fiduciary responsibilities to you, working on your behalf as your agent, and it also lays out the commission amount the buyer will have to pay in the event the seller is choosing not to pay a buyer's agent. There are other items in these agreements, but we can go over that during our buyer's consultation. Now, here's my take, and I've been saying this all along. Number one, sellers' commissions have always been negotiable. And when I go into a listing appointment and I'm asked why they have to pay the buyer's agent in addition to paying their listing agent, my answer has always been the same. When you put your property on the market, you are entering a competition. So for example, if you choose not to pay a buyer's agent, which you have every right to do so, and every other house is paying, 2.5%, 3%, whatever it is, there is a chance that those agents will take their buyers to the other homes. I hate to say it, there are unethical agents out there that will do that. They're out for themselves and not their buyers, and I'm hoping this change will wean them out, but we'll see. Keep in mind though, it could also mean that the buyer wouldn't want to pay more for your house because if they have to pay their agent to buy your house, it may cause them to go in another direction because your home, in essence, will end up costing them more. This brings me to my next point. The second biggest change coming. Before we start working with buyers, we must have a buyer-broker agreement in place, and I did explain a little bit about what that was a little bit ago. Since commission offered to a buyer's agent cannot be listed anywhere in the MLS or on any site that integrates with it, we won't have any way of knowing whether the seller is paying the buyer's agent or not unless we reach out directly to the listing agent. Now, there are companies working on workarounds for that, but who knows, because there's so many rules, we don't even know. It's so early and we just have to figure it all out and work together, all right? I've had many conversations with other agents and brokers, and even in my own conversations with sellers, even with the rule change, sellers are still willing to pay a buyer's agent due to the fact that there is value in that. There are a few different scenarios that can happen. When you want to buy a particular home and the seller is paying the agent, just like normal, nothing to worry about, nothing changes. You make an offer like normal. You don't have to negotiate commissions or anything. You close on the house, you buy the house, and it's done. If the seller is choosing not to pay, we can still make an offer on that home and negotiate it in the contract with the seller to pay. And in most cases, an agreement can be made that way. I've done it many, many times with for sale by owners over the years, and most of the time, it ends up working out. Number three, let's say the seller refuses to pay, even after back and forth negotiations, no matter what. Seller's like, nope, I'm not paying. That's when the buyer will have to pay their agent, whatever their fee is based on the buyer-broker agreement that they signed before they started working together. Are you still with me? Because your house may end up costing the buyer more money if you choose not to pay. This goes back to my conversation with sellers. When you're entering your competition, even if your price is in line with the competition, it might cost the buyer more money. So in essence, they may choose another home. And my last point on this, let's say for example, as the buyer, you sign an agreement with your agent for 3%. And the house you want to buy is offering 2%. The agent must take that 2% and they cannot collect the additional 1% from you. This was put in place, I believe, because since the commissions are now confidential, you, the buyer, will not have any way of seeing what the seller is offering the agent. And that is what will force those unethical agents not to be able to double dip per se by getting paid by the seller and the buyer. I'm not talking about double dipping as a listing agent and bringing the buyer to your own listing. That's different. And that also brings me to my next point of the new rule. If I'm a listing agent and an unrepresented buyer wants to see my listing, I can show it without having that buyer sign the agreement because I have a fiduciary duty to my seller to get that home sold on their behalf, and denying a potential buyer access could cause a seller to miss an opportunity, and we wouldn't want that. It's the same thing with holding open houses. If I'm holding an open house on behalf of my seller, no, every potential buyer that walks through that door does not need to sign an agreement because I'm holding the open house open on behalf of my seller. Now, here's how this is going to affect most consumers when they go to buy a house. You know, when you shop online and then you see a house you want to see and then you click on Zillow to get more information. Not sure if you know this, but when you do that, your information goes out to 4 real estate agents that pay for leads in that zip code. All right, and none of those agents are actually the listing agent. What those agents do is they try to be the first one to get you on the phone, all right, and then they try to keep you on the phone so none of the other agents can call you. The next thing they do is they pop out of their seat. We call them Pop-Tart Realtors. They show you the house. They meet you at the house. They try to build a relationship with you, and ultimately their goal is to try to gain you as their exclusive buying client. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of agents who run their businesses that way. I've known plenty of home buyers who buy homes that way, and I've been doing it for many, many years. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first got licensed in 2014, I ran my business that way. I paid for leads on Zillow. I partnered with a lender. I got some of my first clients that way. I was the Pop-Tart Realtor, and you know, it doesn't matter. That was different. The leads were different. The market was different. Zillow was different. So it was a lot different. But, you know, the changes I think are going to save a lot of people a lot of time, agents and buyers, because, you know, buyers will go look at a house with one agent and then 3 months later they'll go look at another house, and then, you know, they'll keep doing that with different agents and wasting people's time and even wasting their own time doing it that way until they end up buying a house. And then now what's going to happen is they're going to go call the listing agents, you know, to get into the house, because they're going to realize pretty soon when we have to have those agreements in place that they can't just call Zillow or click the button on Zillow and have any agent go out and show them the house anymore. And then this brings me to my next point. Since listing agents are not required to get buyers to sign before showing their listing, once the people start figuring out they can't do it the old way, they're going to start calling listing agents all the time. Listing agents are going to be super, super busy showing all their listings. And the problem with that is especially in a seller's market, the listing agent may not be able to get you in when you want to get in. And I've actually seen buyers miss opportunities on homes this way because the listing agent wasn't available, and then other buyers that were working with their buyer's agent had already made offers, and sometimes the house is already under contract before the listing agent can get you in their house. And you know, especially if listing agents have more than one, which most of them do. I have 6 right now, okay? Let me conclude here. These changes are new for every single one of us. We're all going to be learning as we go. There will be things that come up that even we don't know could even happen, you know? There's already discussion on Fannie and Freddie guidelines for buyers doing financing, whether they're allowed to pay their agent or not. VA buyers for the longest time were never allowed to pay their agents or any types of commissions whatsoever, and they're going to be affected. But I know that the financial institutions are already working around this with these changes, finding ways for buyers to be able to pay their agents. If buyers cannot afford to pay their agent, that is totally okay. You know, we'll always find a way to work it out. Buyers who may not have the funds still deserve representation, and they do not have to go directly to the listing agent to buy a home, okay? A lot of agents are freaking out about this. There are a lot of agents leaving the business due to the market changes alone, and because of these changes, I can assure you, I'm not going anywhere. This is my career. I've been doing this a long time. This is what I do. I love what I do. I take my career very seriously, and I'm here for you. If you decide you want to buy a home, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, longer than that, what I'm going to recommend is you find a realtor that you know, that you like, and that you trust, okay? We'll sit down, we'll have a formal buyer's consultation, we'll go over your wants, your needs, the market, whether it's a seller's market, buyer's market, and then you can make the best informed decision that you need to make when buying a home. The last thing we'll do is sign the loyalty agreement, and then we'll go shopping, which is the fun part, okay? That's it. There's a lot more I can get into. I'll make more videos. I'm here for you. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. My phone number has been the same for 20 years. If you had it 20 years ago, you have it now, okay? So I look forward to talking to you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and have a great day.